There is a common theme among many of the stories that interested us as children, often portrayed in Hollywood films, storybooks, and old wives' tales, and it's that of the disappearing place. If one was to travel to the southwest coast of Ireland, stand on a beach and look out across the Atlantic Ocean, just beyond the horizon, they might see an island, but not always, only sometimes. Only when the mist thins or when the sea forgets to swallow it. It's called Hy-Brasil, and for hundreds of years it was considered real enough to map and weird enough to haunt cartographers, captains and mystics alike. Today we're diving into one of Ireland's most persistent and bizarre legends, a place of black rabbits, ancient magicians and possibly even deeper secrets. While many people are familiar with the story of Atlantis, the disappearing rooms of Hogwarts and Harry Potter, or even the Bermuda Triangle, far fewer people are aware of this story. From the year 1325 all the way into the 1800s, European maps consistently showed an island west of Ireland. Perfectly circular, often split in half by a mysterious channel. The problem? No such island exists today. It appears in the Catalan Atlas of 1375, the Pisagano map of 1325 and more. Named Hy-Brasil by cartographers, few people know anything about Hy-Brasil other than the one sentence, that it can be seen once every 7 years, but it can never be reached. Certainly, many cultures around the world have stories of disappearing places, islands and mountains which belong to the gods, or cannot be visited by men. But today I want to investigate the particular uniqueness of Hy-Brasil and the mythology behind it. To begin with, there are many stories related to Hy-Brasil, how it was a land of peace, wisdom and abundance, sometimes ruled by gods, sometimes by a lone hermit in a tower, who could heal the sick or reveal forbidden knowledge. Some of these stories are newer, and many of them are rooted in old mythology. One of the weirder, more modern tales is that of 1674, when Captain John Nisbet supposedly landed there after being lost in a fog. By his own account, his crew encountered giant black rabbits and an old man who gifted them gold and silver before the island vanished again. Obviously, there is little to give credence to this story, but in the 20th century, Irish pilots and sailors, especially around Galway and the Aran Islands, reported seeing a dark landmass where land no longer exists, or never has existed. A low dark island, seen in clear weather, sometimes with shapes or structures, always gone moments later. Are they seeing fog, a mirage, or something else? But before we go any deeper, we must provide some mythic context. Ireland has a long tradition of vanishing islands. Every child in the country grows up hearing stories of Tír na nÓg, which are taught in schools, and there are other similar places in the Celtic mythology. In these stories, the islands only appear to the chosen or the spiritually ready, liminal spaces between worlds, between times, and they often disappear if approached too eagerly. Ancient sea voyage tales are full of phantom shores and time warps, particularly the Voyage of St. Brendan, where sailors find an island paradise, lush and mysterious, before it slips away. These stories too often have common themes of liminality, moral or spiritual tests, and temporal distortion. Classic Irish otherworld islands often mess with time. A few days on the island can mean years or centuries in the mortal world, particularly in the case of Tír na nÓg. Other tales claim that the islands were punishments or tests from the gods, the Tuatha Dé Danann, appearing only to those worthy or chosen. Only stories as they may be, they show us that the idea of a phantom island was already embedded in the Irish consciousness long before any maps were drawn. But now we should examine the geology. Roughly 200 kilometres west of Ireland, underwater, lies the Porcupine Bank, a raised area of the sea floor. Discovered in 1862, it's almost exactly where the old maps placed Hy-Brasil. Could it have once been above water? Not quite. Even during the Ice Age, it likely stayed submerged, but nearby lands could have been exposed, forming islands or shoals when sea levels were 120 metres lower. Combine this with optical illusions, like Fata Morgana mirages, and you've got a recipe for phantom islands seen by coastal communities and believed in for centuries. especially communities which have long-held traditions of phantom islands. All of this makes reports of the island all the more interesting. In the 20th century, there were many anecdotal pilot sightings, scattered but persistent claims, mostly anecdotal, from pilots and sailors in the 20th century, especially in the 50s and the 80s, of seeing land masses where no land exists, particularly around the Iron Islands and west of Galway Bay. Descriptions often involved a low, dark island seen in clear weather. Pilots reported visibility for a few minutes before it sunk beneath the waves. However, these reports are never officially tracked, and the myth only persists among small local fishing communities on the coastline. So how exactly did this island remain to be seen on maps for hundreds of years? Interestingly, now we can use Google Earth and various digital tools online to investigate Porcupine Bank ourselves. And amazingly, one feature beneath the water seems to perfectly outline the description of Hy-Brasil. Circular in shape, with a channel running along the centre of it. As we stated earlier, this could easily give rise to mirages or other optical illusions, confusing sailors and cartographers over the years. So had these cartographers continued to copy each other over the centuries, this island would persist to be seen on these maps. All of this may in fact provide an answer to our long-held mystery, that Hy-Brasil is in fact a mirage seen over the ocean because of Porcupine Bank, and may too explain the presence of other islands in Irish mythology. It's not hard to imagine how an ancient population might look out across their oceans and see mirages, changing islands which appear for 1 minute and are gone the next, and create an entire folklore and mythology around them, believing that that's where their gods reside.